Hi there. My name is Jessica Tancredi, and I am the founder of Inklings Academy. And in this video, I'm going to be talking to you about active reading. Active reading is a way to read with attention, imagination, and understanding. So, what exactly is active reading? Active reading is the process of interacting with or engaging with a text. So, rather than just reading passively, which is what many of us tend to do, you are essentially entering into a conversation with the text rather than just letting the words wash over you or pass you by. Why does active reading matter? So, first thing is that you are able to retain more and understand more when you are active reading. Another thing is that you are learning to question, to analyze, to interpret ideas, to think more deeply about the structure, or the form of what you're reading. The next thing is connection. You begin to see patterns, themes, and truths, and you'll see connection even between different books, different stories, different ideas. Sometimes even between a story and an essay, or an essay and your personal experience, right? We're making connections in all sorts of ways. Also, to do with writing. You actually become a better writer through active reading because you are paying more attention to style, structure, rhetoric, and other such devices. In addition, if you're in a classroom setting, you are going to be able to have something meaningful to say in class discussions or conversations about what you've read because you've thought more deeply about it. You've identified areas where you've made comments and asked questions, or where you maybe even are confused or not sure what's going on. Those can all lead to great conversations about what you've read. Creation. You can draw on your insights and notes when writing essays, if you're writing a narration or a summary or any other assignment that a instructor might ask you to do, right? Read this thing, and usually you have some assignment associated with it. So active reading is going to help you achieve that goal of completing the assignment well with something meaningful to say. And finally, attention. You are building what Charlotte Mason called the habit of attention, which is a cultivated focus that really shapes the mind. So rather, again, than just passively reading, you are focusing your attention on what you are reading and you are noticing things. Okay, so how do you read actively? Well, the first thing you do is that before you read, you want to look over the text. You want to preview it. What's the title? Are there any subheadings or subtitles or headings? What does the opening paragraph look like? What do I expect this to be about? What do I already know about this text or this author? During the reading, you're going to want to annotate the text. So this is underlining keywords, you're jotting quick notes, you're highlighting certain points. You're also asking yourself questions. So why did the author choose this word? Or what's the tone here? Or what's the argument that this author is making, right? What are the examples or evidence that they're using if it's an essay, for example? You're also going to visualize the scenes or arguments in your mind as you're reading. You might notice the structure, the transitions, the contrast, the repetitions. If it's a poem, you might notice the rhyme scheme and the meter. And then you're going to mark those beautiful or striking passages that you find. And hopefully you'll have a commonplace book and you'll be able to write those passages down in your commonplace book later. After reading, you're going to summarize or narrate what you just read in your own words. You can do this orally to a friend or a family member or even a classmate, or you can just write it down on your own. You can reflect, think about what the author's main idea, thesis, or theme is. You can respond. What do you think about what this author said? Do you agree with them? Do you disagree with them? Do you want to add something to what they've said? You can connect. What does this story remind you of? Or what does this essay remind you of? Or poem remind you of? Maybe you've read another story that has similarities or allusions to this story that you just read. And then you're going to discuss or write. Oftentimes, as I mentioned, you'll have a writing assignment. So you want to turn your ideas into conversation or composition. Okay, something you don't want to do is don't just highlight or underline the text. Active reading is more than this. You want to write comments, ask questions, make connections. You can draw and use symbols. There's all sorts of things that you can do. So active reading strategies. These are just some strategies that you can use when you are active reading. Um, Questioning, reviewing, connecting, evaluating, predicting, and visualizing. All right, so what do you need to be able to actively read? You need pencils, pens, highlighters. Generally, you need a physical copy of the book or the text, like a printed essay or poem. Sticky notes can come in handy. If you prefer not to write in your books, you can keep a specific like notebook for your reading notes. But I'll have something to say about that later. And also a commonplace book. And this is a place where you write down striking or beautiful passages in your best handwriting, and you keep it as kind of a little treasure trove of great words, ideas, and quotes that you want to remember. It's also a great resource, again, for if you are writing an assignment or an essay for a class about this book that you've read or about this thing that you've read. You can go to your commonplace book and think, oh, okay, I need a quote. I want to find some good thing to cite in my essay. So you can draw from your commonplace book. Okay, here are some examples of what active reading looks like. Right, so on the left here, we have looks like a Shakespeare play, actually, Julius Caesar. So you can see that there is highlighting, there are comments here. This person is using different colors. So sometimes people like to use different colors, and maybe the colors would be associated with a certain concept, like maybe the blue is something that you don't understand, or the orange is like a main idea, or the pink is something that just stands out to you. Okay, so we have underlining, highlighting, but we also have comments and notes about what is happening here. On the right, we have an excerpt taken from The House on Mango Street. Again, we have underlining, no highlighting here. We have circling. It looks like this person is circling repeated words, at least in the beginning. Sometimes I will circle words that I'm unfamiliar with, and that's kind of a signal to me that once I'm done, I can go back and look up those words, or sometimes I might even take a moment while I'm reading to look up a word. It's really up to you. Here we have another example. This person is using lots of little tabs and a sticky note here at the end to basically summarize what has happened in this chapter. So that is a great strategy. And some people like to use annotation symbols or systems. So you kind of create your own key, basically, so that you know, okay, anytime I star, this is what it means. It means this is an important detail or fact. A circle might mean that this word is important, or maybe it's a word that I don't know. Question mark is something you don't understand, right? You have a question about it. Exclamation point can be something interesting or exciting, and so on. This is just another annotation system. Again, you would associate specific colors with specific thoughts or elements or something that you are thinking. And this is just a little bit more of the same, just another example. Again, color coding or using specific marks for specific things. All right, so common obstacles and how to overcome them. I often hear from students that it's difficult for them, especially in our modern day and age, to focus on, reading something. We're used to social media and short clips and TikTok and, not so much long form content like reading a novel or even a long poem. So one solution is that you read shorter chunks and that you narrate or summarize after each chunk that you read. So that then you are, reinforcing that comprehension, what you remember, and what you understand. Some people say, I don't know what to write in the margins. Start with questions that you have. Start with just your feelings, right? What kind of feeling do you get from this? Or what does this make you think of? And finally, other people will say that it takes too long, that it slows them down when they're reading. And yes, that is the point. The point is that you are deepening your understanding and that you are taking time to really engage with this text and not just let it pass you by. Okay, reading as a conversation. So the best readers actually don't just consume books. They enter into what's called the great conversation. And the great conversation is kind of like this thread throughout history of great writers, great books, and this long and ancient conversation that really all books, all great books are part of. The act of reading also is a meeting of the minds. You are getting to connect with an author's mind. And oftentimes, this author is not living anymore. So it's almost like you're getting to time travel a little bit, get into their mind and see what they think. And then finally, active reading turns reading from just some chore that you have to do into really a meaningful experience and one that you are actively engaged in. All right, I would highly recommend that you read this short article by Mortimer J. Adler called How to Mark a Book. He actually really advocates that you write in your books, and he gives several reasons for why it's important to write in your books. I know that some people don't like to write in their books, but I think that he makes a pretty convincing argument for why you should. All right, let's keep in touch. So you can find me at my website, inklings.academy, on Instagram at inklings.academy, and here on YouTube at Professor Tancredi. That is my name. And I hope that you will check out our classes that we have coming up for the spring and as well as next fall. We will be fully launching all of our courses. Follow us, subscribe on YouTube for more videos. Thanks for watching.